colleagues of the Black community, and also again tomorrow, Avoye Tiempo will talk to us, and Woody King Jr. on Friday. And it is a time of uncertainty, a time where we do not know what to do. We do not know what will happen. And we do not really know how the world will change. Perhaps it has already changed. There's a car that is in full speed on the brakes. It's in the air, and we don't know if we will land on 4 wheels or a big crash. And we do need some answers, but also our theater community and performance community needs things to think about. And if this is a time we can really think, it's a time also where we can listen. And we have done that here for our 11 weeks. We are the only institution, I think, in America that is open, that produces new content every day related to this. And today is a very special day for us, important day. It is the first time we also have a colleague, a thinker with us who is not directly from the field of theater and performance. Even so, he writes about theater. He also wrote a bit for theater, if I understand, but he is a thinker, a maître à penser, as the French say, and we need that now to think, and he has done that all his life. And he wrote something beautiful, or talked something beautiful. It was called Wozu braucht man Kunst? Why does one need art? He gave a talk at the State Academy of Fine Arts in Karlsruhe, Germany, the Riemenschneider lecture with Caroline Meister, published by Walter König in Switzerland. And he said, why does one need art? Already then, and now we really have these questions now. So really, first of all, Jean-Luc Nancy is one of the significant philosophers of our time. Thank you for joining us. It is a big honor to have you with us. And thank you to Irene Anastas for translating. She is here in Brooklyn, an artist based in Brooklyn. But Jean-Luc, where are you right now? And what time is it?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I am in Strasbourg, France. And it is 6 p.m.
6
more
p.m.
or less. Yeah.
How was the time, this time of Corona for you? How did you experience this moment?
Well, this is precisely an experience, but it is not an experience because of the lockdown and the question of illness, etc., etc. That's all. It is absolutely not an experience. The experience has been the experience of the way the entire world was concerned with this virus, and how this virus did work and works still as, I would say, as a revelator. Can I say that? Revelator? Or in another language, a catalyst, catalyseur,
Mm-hmm.
of something which is already there since a long time, and which is not finished and will not be finished even with a pandemic. That is the global, to say that with the word of Freud, the global disease of the civilization. So the virus has been and is still an excellent revelator or catalyst of our disease. In itself, it is not such a big problem. And I can partly understand that some people said, and said still today, it was not needed to make a lockdown, etc. And briefly, we can let the old people die, and the old and weak people die, like me, for example, people of 80 with immunosuppression or depression, they are good to die anyway. No, but precisely the mere fact that we have been pushed in such discussion, like what are we doing with the old people, with the already quasi-dying people, etc. So only the fact that we are pushed toward those questions is a revelator, because since a long time we know that our developed societies with so many old people and so many people who don't have a very good life. No, it was all the time in France or in Europe, all the time it was talking about, I don't know the name, in les maisons de vieillards.
Old age home.
Hein? Old age home. Voilà. Ah. In France is a little terrible because there is an acronym that is EEHAP, établissement hospitalier pour adultes, dépendants. And so with EHPAD is a word pronounced 1,000 times a day now, and there are, of course, are not very good places. Even if there are some are good, some are not so good, but it is, the question is not there. The question is that we don't know how to manage with the old people. Why? Because we don't know what can be the life of people no longer able to work, to produce something, and this is a question belonging to the very heart of our civilization. It's very hard. So, just that. I will not talk too long about that. But I think that on this level and on many other levels, we can see how there is now a kind of revelation, so. But the revelation is like any revelation, like the revelation of God. The revelation of God is the revelation that God was all the time there before. God says only, Ole, I'm here. Well, so, and now precisely not God, but precisely the contrary, in a way, the contrary of God, the absence of sense of our civilization reveals itself completely with an ambiguity. The ambiguity is that at the same time we we started to think how precious is human life, and precisely the other side of the old people is that any human life deserves respect, medicine, etc., etc. But at the same time, I think, precisely because we have the two things together. On one side, we don't know how to deal with a long life. On the other side, all life is an absolute value. But we don't know how to put both together. And it has been like an only one answer, that is medicine and medicine and medicine. And then everything to protect the people, protect more the old people, etc., etc. And the revelation here is that we don't know why human life is so absolutely precious. We don't know. And I would say we are in a way, it is the total revelation of Marx, I would say, in the meaning that Marx said capitalism knows only one value, and the only one value is the general equivalency, that is money. Equivalency means all value equal, or you can't change everything. Recently, I discovered that Marx repeated, without knowing that, a formula of Spinoza. Spinoza has, it's not exactly the same, but Spinoza has, for the money, this very interesting Latin formula, compendium universale. Compendium means in Latin abstract. Yes, I think that abstract is a good translation for compendium. In the French translation of Spinoza, there's sometimes a résumé. Yes, a résumé is like abstract, and other, I don't remember another. Well, you see, I say that just because it is very interesting to think that already more than 1 century before Marx, you have already this terrible formula, you know. That is, everything can be, comment dire, résumé. Hein?
Reduced?
Reduce, exactly, reduce. So yes, we could say that is an absolute reduction of the value. And now I think we are in front of a jeopardy, that is to think that with life we have a good value. But why? Because if life is by self a value, we have to answer to two questions, I would say. The first is the question of death, because there is no life without death. And precisely through the corona crisis, we discover a lot of very interesting questions about death. On one side, the death of the people in the hospital without the possibility of the presence of the parents, the family, etc., has been a problem, of course. And what is interesting is that this problem was already a problem with every epidemic or pandemic since in the history, you know.
So
already, but on the other, just I'll finish. On one side, so there is a question of death. And the second question is that, in a way, it is the same question. It is then, how can we name, if you want, the value of life, or what is what content, hein, Irene, quel contenu donner à la valeur de la vie?
What content to give to the value of life?
How much is the life worth? Yeah.
No,
And,
what
content? Yeah.
worth becomes different, because it goes back to money to say how much is life worth. It's the language of economy.
In a way, if you want, the question is, what is the value of life? We say the life is an absolute value. Okay, what is this value? Because if this value is not the general equivalency or the compendium universale, then it is clear. And I think this was more or less, more consciously or not, the thought of Marx. The value of the life is the unicity, the singularity of the life. Because it is not life as, I don't know, as strongness, as power to work, to produce. Maybe of this point of view, Marx was too much still in the thinking of this kind of value. Nevertheless, when Marx says that beyond the private property and the collective property, there is what he calls the individual property, and it doesn't give any explanation to that, then there is no other way to think this individuality in Marx, precisely not in the meaning of the individual making his way within society, but much more of the irreductibility of the individual. That is the fact that you and you and you and you, me, there is absolute nothing commensurable between us. Absolutely not. Well, and then so how could we name this value? Or maybe a better way to ask the question would be to say, alors in French, comment est-ce que cette valeur vaut? Valoir.
How does this value evaluates worth, is worth, maybe we can go back.
Very is worth.
Mhm.
In German, in the German of Kant, and in the German language in general, but so Kant uses this word, there is one word, Würde, which is of the same family than Wert. The value in German is Wert. For example, in Marx, the plus-value is the Mehrwert. La plus-value chez Marx, over, how to say in English?
Surplus value?
Surplus
Surplus
value.
Voilà, surplus value. This is Mehrwert. But the word Würde is translated in French by dignité. Dignity.
Dignity.
Dignity. And if we speak of dignity, you understand that we speak of something that cannot be negotiated on the market, you know. There is no equivalence. Your dignity, Frank, your dignity, Irene, my dignity, are exactly the same, being absolutely different at the same time. Well, because I stopped you.
That is very, very, very important. And how much is the value of life? Is it $20 worth, like the George Floyd murder? Joshua Sobol, Israeli playwright, said he was impressed that a life does count, that blood did count in America at the moment also of George Floyd. Do you think this time of Corona made us more aware? Is this a time of change in that capitalist or post-capitalist society where we are now? Are we at a moment of turn?
I think precisely we are in a moment of turn since I don't know, all the time when I think about that, I think the turn maybe started with the First World War. Or the turn started with the end of the Socialist Republic Union. No? Between both, there is almost 1 century, that is the 20th century. So I think the 20th century has been the century of the starting of a turn. And more than a turn. That is something I like to call that mutation. You know, like in biology, a mutation is, for example, the genetic mutation is that in a genome, in some ADN or DNA. There is a change in the position of several genes. The position, or one goes out, or one returns itself, etc. So this is a mutation in the animal species, and what is studied mainly is with a species of small insects which reproduce themselves very quickly. So it is possible to see how the mutation occurs through the generation. You know, in each generation there are mutations. Many of them are what is called by the biologist lethal. That is
Lethal.
hmm?
Deadly.
Deadly. Lethal. Yeah. But some are not, and some give the possibility to a new variety inside the species. So, so I think, for example, mankind did have some mutation, like maybe the first, the biggest mutation was the end of the human sacrifice, which is precisely the phenomenon that makes, after some centuries, makes possible the mutation of the antiquity in the Mediterranean world. And from there, the starting of this Occidental civilization, which became the worldwide civilization, even if there are some other inheritance, you know, of course, for example, from Chinese, from India, from a lot of people and civilization in the world, so it's all around South America, for example. But it was there a mutation because we started with something called rationality, logos, logic, etc. Yeah. And then the capitalism was itself a mutation. That is, and maybe we have still to understand what happened with capitalism. With capitalism, it happens that yes, we change completely precisely our relation to the value, to evaluation. You know. This is why Nietzsche, who is an old friend of Irene, Nietzsche was so occupied with not the idea of the value, but the idea of the evaluation, what makes the value, what gives the value to the value. You know? And if Nietzsche speaks about changing the value is not to say, oh, now I prefer what? For example, I prefer woman over man. You know, the big value should be woman. Well, that makes no sense. You know? But what makes sense is what is a gesture of evaluation. And for a very long time, the whole mankind did have the gesture of evaluating that there is something like gods or something like la noblesse.
Nobility.
That the people that people are born as noble people, you know, and other not people. And now, precisely with the capitalism, with the equivalency of There is no, absolutely no way to show a possible evaluation. I am absolutely sure that maybe through 2 or 3 centuries, I know it's very long because those things are going very slowly, you know, but through 2 or 3 centuries, some mutation of this kind will happen. Since it is not possible in another way. And then you will ask to me, I know, well, do you have a mean to grasp a new kind of evaluation? And first, of course, I will answer no, because it is not predictable. What will come will come. This is not fatalism. It is just that it is the law of the time that the future is not predictable. In French, it is possible to have 2 names, you know. That is, one is the future, the other is the avenir. Avenir is like
what is to come?
To come. But in French, you have the verb venir, venir, and we have the name l'avenir. But the name is made with the verb, you know. And future is not made with the verb. Future, on the contrary, is a mode of the verb, of the noun. Then the future, one could say, a future is a projection of what will be, but what will be and what will be is considered as real, you know. And sometimes it's true. When the people said, I don't know, 50 years ago, we will have a train going this at 250 kilometers per hour. Yes, it's okay. And it will come in. And like today, there are some people says, we will have optical computer, which will be, I don't know how many times stronger than our computer. Certainly, certainly that will happen. The question is that with an optical computer, I think we will not know better what is the purpose of such rapidity. And the avenir is something quite different. That is to come. And the avenir is something we can experience every day. I don't know what will happen in 1 hour, and you don't know. Huh? Maybe, I don't know.
In
I hope no catastrophe, but no.
Yeah.
No, but very simple. I don't know. I don't know what can happen if I go now out on the street and maybe I will encounter somebody which I never expected to meet. And so then the avenir, yes, is coming. It's coming, and coming coming is still coming, I would say. You know? Like it is why, for example, in English, precisely the sexual meaning of to come is a very interesting one, because and in French we have, yes, we have this partly the same with venir. Yeah, venir. Oui, viens, je viens. For example, yes, in Blanchot you have a repetition of the viens, which Derrida has commented, but I don't remember where. So this is interesting because precisely we think spontaneously that to come means to come to an end, but precisely not. Or precisely as well in a sexual meaning as in a mystical one, I would say. To come has no end. To come comes. Of course, there is an end, but there is an end, but the end does not belong to the coming. The end is more than there is a limit. Then comes the question of the limit and of death, if you want, of course. Well, so this could be, I think, my first answer. That is, that it is not predictable. But second, I would like to, nevertheless, to make a kind of prediction. But it is not a new prediction. I think this prediction has already been done. I think it was André Malraux who said the 21st century will be spiritual or nothing, something like that. No? Mm-hmm. Of course, it is very ambiguous if we think, what, a new religion? But no. But I think, or I don't know, even Nietzsche, even precisely Nietzsche. And Nietzsche says not only that God is dead, but he said that which new gods we will be able to invent, or something like that. Of course, God is by itself a dangerous idea, an idea of power, domination, etc. But maybe it could be something else, which needs something else than any kind of God, if you want. Maybe, for example, Heidegger spoke about the last God as a God who, or whose the entire divinity is in making a sign. Mm-hmm. But making a sign with a German word, which is not translatable, wink. Winken in German is to make a little sign, so like the children say, whoa, whoa.
Wink, maybe. Wink.
Hmm?
Wink.
You say wink in English?
Yeah, maybe. But I'm not sure the meaning exactly the same as German, but there is a wink. It's more a gesture.
Signing or signaling and
signaling something. Of course, it can't have a meaning, but it can be on, I would say, on the border of meaning. Like if I make a sign with my eye, a clin d'oeil, if I do that, you understand something, but you don't know exactly what. It can be a sign of seduction or complicity, or you will see, well, but the wink, the German wink, and mainly as a sign of children, the children may winke, winke. They say the winke, winke. This is the very, very little baby who says to the grandmother, winke, winke. So bye bye, but it's not bye bye. Well, Heidegger says the divinity of the last God is only to wink, because there is a verb, winken, make a sign, a sign toward, and after that, Heidegger has other things to say, but okay. Then, well, no, the last word I could say about that would be to say that if there is a mutation to come, a mutation with a kind of wink toward I don't know why. It could be, it seems to me, it could be certainly only in the direction of precisely the absence of God and the absence of any kind of goal, of final end, Because what is very interesting is to see that our contemporary crisis is a crisis of a humanity which was supposed to have an end, total man, it was the word of Marx, or achieved society with a total mastering of the entire world, etc., etc. But everything is going away, We have every day we learn that no, there is and precisely the pandemic is like the return of something very old. We thought that should never happen. Something like the plague in the Middle Age or the Renaissance. But precisely it happens. It happens. That is because the modern condition of life and globalization of life makes possible this pandemic. It has been already partly the case with AIDS, but AIDS was and is still is more limited in the condition of communication still. And now we have a virus which communicates, which is as well limited, but well then yes, we are in a period where, no, I would say it is not possible that it will not change, but and it is the same, if you want, about politics. See, today the question is not to be more what socialist. Of course, it makes sense, and in France, for example, it is. I think it is more interesting to have some socialist way of thinking or socio-democrat way. But who is going this way now? Emmanuel Macron himself. He cannot do in another way. He cannot. Of course, it is not the same in all countries, and maybe and partly Macron says several things, but mainly, even if we forget the only word socialism, the word state and the job of the state is today in Europe, at least, in a condition that was absolutely non-predicted 2 years ago, simply 2 years ago. No? And what does that mean? I would say that means nothing about the state, the entity of state. No, it means something about the necessity of making many things together, because we are together, we live together, we interact together all the time, and then so we need to think again something about state. It is very strange. Now in France, we are doing many things which in fact are exactly like nationalization, but they don't have this name. But I don't know how many thousand million of euro are taken to everything, you know. But from where they come? They come or they will come from the money of everybody. Of course, there is still a question about the tax of the most rich people, etc. But even that will be in a way forced to be changed. Then what politics means today is, in a certain extent, nothing but the necessity to manage with everything that we produced. You know? But of course, there is a big difference between a government like this one of Trump, this one of Bolsonaro, this one of Modi, etc., this one of Macron, etc. Yes, of course, but altogether, those differences are not very important things. The important things is that the word politics today becomes like a large, open and empty world. No, everybody says this is politics, political. We have to. I know. I was myself. That's almost 50, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. I used the word the political, which at this time, in the 70s, it was for us, it was like something really new. That is the essence of politics, not the bad politician activity. As we say, in French, there is an expression which is very comic. La politique politicienne. The politician.
Say again, Aaron?
Political politics, the politic of politicians.
Right.
The politic of politicians.
Right? But it is bad politics, It is a politic of interest, corruption, calculation, etc., etc. Of course. But it is very strange because if I would speak about like une cuisinière, the bad cooking would be the cooking, or the
cooking. It's professionalized cooking, basically, no?
Well, if you want, but precisely what we understand by cooking is should not be professional. Should be what we are able to do with taste. I don't speak for me because I am absolutely unable, but no, cooking is a kind of art. Well, politics as well. Politics was an art, but this is totally forgotten. But then to speak about the politician means that there is a problem with politics. But I think that then the non-politician politics has today, that is when it is used in many discourses, has the meaning, I would say more or less, of theology. Politics mean the global understanding of the life and the common life, etc. Precisely, I think if the politics is the art to manage society, and then I would say it has to do with the fact that the society itself is not everything. That we have a life through society, but beyond society. This is certainly, in a way, what Marx thought with individual property. That is what one is properly.
Proper.
Proper.
The proper.
the proper, which precisely is never proper. The proper. Who are you, proper? No, you are not even Irene, and I am not even Jean-Luc. Or, no? And but I think that what is interesting today with all the crises is that precisely we are on the border of all those questions.
Just to come back to your beautiful description of the Winke, the sign. I think it was also Artaud who said to signal through flames. If we come to theater, what are the signs? What are the signals we should give? Why do we need theater in this time? Do we really need art?
Or just precisely because I think theater is a place for signing. What the actor make on a screen is not representing something. It is much more giving some sign, and a lot of sign, because this sign of color, of matter, of sound, of gesture, of the kind of presence. You know. What is an actor? What is a great actor? In a way, I would say a great actor is somebody who becomes nearly himself or herself a sign. This is why at the age of these actors, we did have some idols of the theater and of the cinema, you know? But now, of course, it can fall on the side of idolatry, you know? But there is something, there is some reason for the possibility of idolatry. That is that yes, you know, some people are able to make sign by their presence. This is a matter of presence and of communication of presence. And you know what Artaud means with the theater and the plague is precisely that the plague is for him, and finally for Artaud, the plague is not a physical disease. It is mainly a communication, a contagion. And if he speaks of the theater as a theater as pest, as plague, that is because theater communicates, has to communicate what then? Communicate something out of the mere understanding. And then in in this extent, I could say this is not by chance that today there are, at least with what I can see in Europe, and I don't see many things, but there are two phenomena together. One is that the theater is a little fatigué.
Tired.
Tired, yeah. No, this is strange because in our theater, what do we see? We see all the time, again and again, some, I don't know, piece of Shakespeare or Brecht, of course, even Beckett, I would say, even that. Of course, there are more contemporary writers. But that's it. There is, for my feeling, there is still in the theater, with the theater, a disease with the representation, the scene in front of the spectator, etc., etc. But on the other side, there are more and more attempts to create new form of theater and way of making theater out of the theater. And I'm not alone to say that. It is a French theater, I don't remember now his name. He wrote an article 2 months ago about the crisis precisely, and he said we should rethink everything about the public help to the theater and to make possible, for example, much more things of theater on the street, etc. So there is, I think that there is a need today to an attempt to precisely to feel, I would say, a theatrality which maybe is no longer present in the theater as institution, but this theatrality is precisely what belongs to life. And this is one aspect of what Artaud, I think, understood very well, because it belongs to life to come out. A baby is an actor, become an actor, an ordinary baby. He plays a role. He understood the address to the other, and like I'd say, like for example, because today the cinema is so important, and I remark that because today we are absolutely tired with the cinema of Hollywood, and not only the blockbuster, but I don't know. I am very tired, yeah, with les films policiers.
detective film, maybe.
Non, les films policiers, les histoires de tout, les vols, gangsters, corruption, le gars qui était en prison et sort de prison, et tout ça, oui, ça va. C'est un peu...
All these narratives, you understand the narratives of Hollywood, of
Ouais.
people.
But,
But
that maybe you're right. Maybe it goes until the narrative itself, and it has to do with what happens in literature, maybe. But on another side, I think there are today some films attempting to do in another way with a narrative. I've seen a film of a filmmaker I didn't know before, Philippe Ramos, a film where there is no one story, and the major part of the film is made of les images fixes.
still images.
One after the other. And even like if you analyze an image, you know, the act of that and that and that and other. And there are in the same film, you have I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 not stories, but people, character. Yeah. And each time it is another approach, and then you are like invited to think if there is a link between, or maybe not. It is so. Things like that, or I don't know. I've seen another film, but it's too much complicated to explain. Well, I have the feeling that what happens there is precisely that the film itself is looking for what I would call its own theater. That is how it comes in presence, you know. Because if you see what is special to the cinema, I would say what is special to the cinema is that with the cinema you can zoom, and you cannot zoom at the theater. And we zoom, and like that, you know.
Close up.
What close up, which is a title of a film. So what happens with that? I think the cinema is much more there than in the lateral movement, the car or the horses or the going fast through, you know. Then in the theater it's different because it is not a matter of closeness, or there is a different closeness. It is a difference of the feeling of the presence of the actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I see in a way or in another, all the time, what is at stake is, I would say, is not to show something, nor to give something to understand, but to make possible, well, I would say, a certain kind of touching. or a certain kind of presence, of presence in the meaning in which praesentia in Latin it doesn't mean to be there, but to be in front of, or to be beside of. Praesentia, and not absentia.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel, if we talk about theater as an appearance on a stage, appearance of signs, should it be in this world? Is it a political action, or should it be point to outside the world, the time we live in now, let's say America, the unrest we have here at the moment, the demonstrations? What art do we need, and what art works?
I'm not an artist. The artist can answer. I don't know. Artists have to try to, I don't know. What could I say is, for me, a contemporary work of art I would say in any case, the possibility of coming, I would say, to a certain liberation of meaning. That there is not, the matter is not to think something, not to understand something, not to comment something. I would say the contrary to philosophy. If you go to listen to a philosophical talk or course in the university, so you want to understand something, and but in a way, the presence of the professor is not that important. I don't say it is absolutely not important, no, because now starts a discussion about the virtual teaching, etc. Okay, but I don't know, because I have an example to say on the theater, but in France there is a theater maker, François Tanguy, whose his theater is named Le Radeau. Radeau is a raft, I think, no? Something like that.
A lifeboat?
Hmm?
A lifeboat?
Yeah,
Mm.
Radeau. Huh?
Mm.
Radeau. I don't know why his name is Le Radeau, okay? Le Radeau is a little way to say, yes, for me, the scene is a radeau. I am there on the ocean. No. Well, all the spectacle of François Tanguy and of the theater of the Radeau are almost all are without any clear narrative. There is something with that. But mainly about the places on the scene, changing the placing, going up and down, and I don't know, or don't know, suddenly putting in something in front of the spectator. So it's very impossible to describe. And when it goes on talk, when actors are delivering some talk, there's not very much, and not all the time possible to well understand it. You know? So what is interesting there? What is interesting is precisely to be, I would say, to be invited to a space which is working as the space it is, with the peculiar rule and habits and forms of this space. Well, but it is not worth to describe an invisible thing. Maybe it seems to look like some theater of object. I know it was practiced in Germany, but I've never seen really that. Well, anyway, the question is that we enter a space and we are in a way going through a space, even if we stay at our place. Where maybe we get a certain sense of the theater we are, you know, of if the actor makes me feel not as another actor playing with them, but as being with, in a way, you know, and not only a spectator. However, I think that all the criticism about the spectacle, you know, the criticism of the situationist, and is true, even if in the situationist way it is already gone. But yes, maybe we could say that, you know. I think the people of the majority of the other culture or civilization of the world have been or are still now people living their lives and being in their space and time, you know. And maybe we are the first not to be exactly in our space and time. We are all the time projected, for example, out of time, because in the future, and not in the coming, but in the future, what will happen? Or all the time out of our place, so with the need to travel, to go there. Now, if we think seriously about tourism, why the mass tourism is a problem? Of course, there are techno-ecological, economical problems, as you know, and the tourists are destroying Venice, for example, but that's not the main problem. The problem of the tourism is that, in a way, we are all tourists because we need to go everywhere to see, to what? To what? Of course, I understand how interesting and rich it is, or it can be to travel, to visit. But the question is precisely about the visit, you know, the visit. What means to visit a place? In my life, I was very frequently, maybe, j'étais frappé.
Touched, yeah, touched.
Oui, touch.
But more different than touched, frappé, shaken or...
Oui, shake aussi, oui, shake, c'est ça. By the fact that, but I don't know what I wanted to say.
About tourism, you were
no.
saying that is a visit.
Yes, I was shocked by the fact that when I was somewhere to do something, for example, when a long time ago, when I did go to America, precisely to California, to teach for 2 months, 3 months, something like that. Then I started to have a life there, to know the people, but when I go just to see a city, like it is said in French, we say faire. You go, I don't know, you go in Italy and you say, j'ai fait Sienne, Florence et Venise. J'ai fait.
I did.
Which is terrible. It is almost like je me suis fait, je me suis tapé, j'ai avalé Florence. Alors là, there is nothing there. So today I would say I want to go. Well, today for me, no, traveling is too tiring. But I prefer to go only in one place and to stay there and to do something in the place, and not to come, visit, to look what is to see. This is the Taj Mahal, and this is Grand Canyon, and etc. You know. So in the tourism, there is maybe we could say a scopic drive, to speak with Freud, you know. A scopic drive, and precisely the scopic drive is something else than the inhabitation, taking part of. And maybe it is not possible to, of course, to live and just to be in every part of the world. In this meaning, I would say one can understand if people are claiming for the proper place, the nation, etc. As a nation, I use this word because I have no other one, you know, or the people. But precisely as we know, all those words, and mainly the word nation, did become a closed word, an empty word at the same time. But when it goes about a nation which is not able to be exactly the nation it is or it claims to be, like Palestinian, or I don't know, maybe Uyghur, or many other people around the world, then yes, what is at stake here is that it is needed to inhabit somewhere, or to have an to use the German word Heimat. I don't know if you use the word Heimat. Has been a very terrible German word because hyper used by the Nazi, you know, and since Romantic times, Heimat. But there is a Belgian resistant who did go to the camp, but he comes back and he wrote a book. After, I don't remember the title of the book, there is a chapter, how much Heimat we need. Because he said the camp is the absolute contrary to any Heimat. You know. Then, in comparison to the camp, we need a Heimat. But if the Heimat is close, you know, family, national circle, etc., then so we know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that very much, that you compare, you know, theater in a way to travel as tourists, or not, but to stay, to be engaged, to inhabit a space, and not just come and go, but to be touched, to feel to resonate with this place you are in. And do you feel in the times of confinement when could you travel, and your thought, did you feel your liberties were limited, or how did you experience this time? You said today's the first time after 3 months you went to a bakery. So how did you experience that time of limited liberties and thinking?
I didn't experience that as a limit of liberty. I think that, as I said before, for people living in small houses and with many people in a small room, no, it has been a real problem. But what was said about the liberty by many people living like me in an apartment large enough, etc., that I don't understand, or I understand better, that it is really a false understanding of liberty. Because first, if freedom is something, not something, so if freedom has a meaning, it is not the freedom to do what I want, because who is that? To be I shall be one I first, and how to be one I, if not every day, all the time, by talking to other I and understanding the you with the I and the we, etc. First, and though I want, what is my want? What is my desire? What is my will? I can want a lot of things. Of course, if I don't know, if you would tell me, I don't know. Would you like to have a big and strong car? To why not? Would you like to travel to? I spoke of the Taj Mahal before. I was never there. I was never in India because of my health condition. Since 30 years, I cannot go to India nor to Africa. And especially with Africa and for India, it is painful for me. I regret. I like to see African films because I have a feeling. I was once in the Burkina Faso, but only once for 3 weeks. That's not very much, you know. So if you would offer Aldo to me, I would say yes, of course. But that makes no sense. If you first to give me that, you would need to make me in a better medical condition so that I can go to Africa. I cannot. So, well, then no. But all our life is taken in very precise limits. I am born there, at this time, in those conditions, and then it happened that and that and that. And all my life is made from a lot of meeting or encounter, unpredictable, hazardous, etc. And then it makes an entire life. And an entire life is never entire. Well, then where is the freedom there? The freedom is, I would say the freedom is to be able at each moment to be still in the moving toward myself, but myself will never come. But yes, to go to become, and until the point where I die. But to die means that yes, there is nothing else to do. That is something to do. To die, if possible, to die is to do something, even if it is a passive doing. But of course, if you die because you are taken by a policeman, you do not, and the death is given to you, or is imposed to you, is not yours. But I think that there are much more people, even religious people, who understand that dying is not losing the chance to live more, but coming to precisely to the point where there is nothing more to do. That is learning that there is no more. That is what I cannot understand when transhumanist people are talking about living, I don't know, 200, 300 years. And what more? And what more? Of course, I would like to be living in 200 years to see what happens. Would like. But if I like that so much, then I have to die right now. But to find the mean to be resurrected in 200 years, which is
another thing. Maybe since we're coming closer also to the end of the talk, you wrote.
I am seeing the time.
Yeah, you wrote a lot about tragedy. Do you think we live in it's a tragic time we live in?
Yes, maybe we are living in the time we can rediscover tragedy. What means tragedy? Precisely, it is possible that tragedy, I mean, Greek tragedy means the possibility of coming to death with an understanding of its necessity, which means another understanding of this word, necessity. The tragic hero is the one who at the same time is desperate to be condemned, etc., and to die, but he understands that it is, how to say, his fate. So, what means fate? What means fate? It means the destiny. The destiny. That is the question of the destiny. Destiny. The destiny. The destiny to destinate is to send somebody somewhere, or by whom are we destined? I don't know.
Destination.
No.
Destined.
Oui, destined. So our destiny is everything. My parents where and when and how was I born and what was at stake, etc., etc. That makes it in which people with which language, etc., etc. Right. That is certainly that is destination, but the destination is not necessarily destination to a certain point, but maybe it is a destination to be destinated. Derrida invented a word which, like any invented word, is weak because it is invented, but it is destinérance. That is destiny and errance. Errance, comment tu traduis?
To err, to move without knowing a goal. Errands. Errancy in English also.
Oh, you could even say destinérance in English, almost. No?
Almost.
Okay.
Almost.
So it is a nice word. Again, despite the fact that if it is not a word of the language, it is not. But or maybe we could try without using another word, just to say how do we have to understand our destiny? And now I think for a long time and for maybe all other culture, it was in a way clear. I have the destiny to be that. And I don't discuss about that, but it can be a noble destiny or a very poor and humble destiny. But now precisely our what we made ourselves with humanity, that is in a way that is the other side of the general equivalence. We are all equal. We know that we've all the same absolute value, and then our destinies are all equal and absolute. But if some people are using the destiny of the other people to subordinate their destiny to themselves, then that is oui, c'est un vol, comment on dit, voler.
Theft.
Of
Theft.
the destiny.
Of the destiny. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, no. So really, thank you, and I think your thoughts about that value of life and the evaluation of it, that we are recalibrating it, that the future century might be a century where spiritual questions will come up, that we are on a destination, on a way which will be full of errands, but also to error, and we will be wandering around. I think this is something that is the life and work of an artist, of course, is close, and also that there is no center, no sense, there is no form that can give form to a truth, that we have to have to find it, but we should be touched, or we should resonate, that we create, as you say, a space in theater that we inhabit, a space that that connects us, gives us a feel of a heimat, of a home, or of a belonging, that this is something that theater artists keep in mind. As a final, I don't know if it's a question or a final, as a statement, as we do ask young artists who also are listening to our talks, or artists in general, what is the meaning of the Corona time now? What do you feel is important to keep in mind, and how to use it best? And what advice do you have?
I'm thinking to the poem of Paul Celan with the title Corona. Yes, meaning the crown. And in this, but I don't know the poem, but I remember just that the end of the poem is, it is time that stone agree to flourish. C'est correct? Fleurir. Fleurir.
Flowers.
Non, fleurir, the verb fleurir. La fleur fleurit.
Flower.
It exists in
Flower.
English.
It is a verb, flower. So it is time that the stone agree to flower, to become a flower. It's time.
Yeah, that is true. And Heiner Müller, the great German writer, would write about the flowering, or the imprints of flower and concrete. You would see that even concrete flowers over time, in the exposed to it, and that this is a hope. We all have, dear Jean-Luc, really thank you for taking time, precious time, also a lot of time. And I wish we would have each day a conversation in that way. I think it is full of inspiration and thought, and also in the kind of archipelagos, islands of thoughts that connect itself to a bigger landscape, actually. So it is important to hear a philosophical point of view, and also that we don't know. As you said, l'avenir, we do not know. We can make predictions, but we do not know. You don't know, and we don't know, but we have to find a way to create meaning, inhabit a space, and create some sense of a belonging, of a community, and some kind of a solidarity, and this experience of isolation, of loneliness, which perhaps for you is a way of living all your life. And I know a lot of your writing was done in a time of your heart
transplant. Not so much isolation.
Yeah, and your heart transplant, or your can't fight with cancer, where you were freely still, you could still think, the free thinking that is out there that we have now. So thank you for joining us, and I think we might have even better questions now, and it is an important contribution, and I think also for us in the world of theater and performance, that it is for you important to take time and talk to us, gives us also meaning in our work. Tomorrow we have a New York director, Avoye Timpo, who will talk about her work and her life and her experience as a Black young director, a woman, and her dreams, her ideas about how to create inhabit a space or create a heimat, a belonging for herself, but also for audiences. And then on Friday, Woody King Jr. For 50 years ran a Black American theater, and he will tell us what it meant for him and his journey. But again, Jean-Luc, thank you so much. And I hope we will also in our series continue to hear voices from philosophers, anthropologists, or sociologists. I think we need to reach out, that we have to get out of our smaller worlds where we are in, and we step outside the world we know. And art does that, but I think also philosophy, and in some way philosophy perhaps also is close to it, because it tries to step out of the moment, out of the world we know, and find truth or find an answer, and searching for truth. And as you said, art is now create something that you can see. It's the opposite of philosophy. We talk about things with language, but the artist creates something final, a statue. But at the end, gods are statues we look at now, but they are images, and they are powerful ones. Thank you very, very much. And Irene, thank you for being with us, for being there.
Thank you, and thank you to Irene.
Presence. And I would like to thank you both, and thanks to HowlRound for hosting us, to Travis and Thea and Vijay, to my team, Andy and Sanyang, and to everybody. Hope you will be able to join in tomorrow again on HowlRound here at Emerson College. And these are conversations that come out of the time of Corona. We should have many, many more of them, and show that the individual experience we have is an individual one, and there's a collective one, but it is so vastly different. But altogether, it creates a body, it's a community, or commu-virus, as Jean-Luc created that term. So thank you very much, and
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Irene, say hello to René.
Thank you.
René, we will call you now to say hello.
Yeah.